What's up, y'all? Hey, Visha. Happy Saturday. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It's a beautiful Saturday, y'all. It's a beautiful Saturday. Our declaration on today is going to be things are turning around for you. Things are turning around for me. That is going to be our declaration. I meant to do this broadcast yesterday, but y'all, it was such a busy day. After the vet came, I didn't realize how tired I was, y'all. I ate, showered, and I went to bed. I didn't realize, listen, I'm doing good. I think everybody was tired. My two big babies, they were knocked out. The little one had so much energy. He would not go to sleep, y'all. I woke up and he had jumped off the couch. Y'all, he has learned to jump off the couch. I heard somebody drinking water. I'm looking for him. Y'all, he on the floor, so I had to put him in the cage. Because I'm like, I can't sleep knowing that now you ain't afraid to jump off the sofa. Oh, no, you got to go in the cage because you going to be roamed, tow some stuff up. It would have been a disaster waiting to happen, man. This morning has been a pretty productive morning. I have done my morning cardio, had my morning coffee, spent my time with God. But I wanted to share this revelation that I got on yesterday. Really this week, the theme of what God has shown me and what I believe he's shown so many of us is that this season really is a different season. I'm going to say it again. I believe that this week for many people has been one of those weeks where God has been coming through in such a way that not only does it, allow for you to struggle, have to endure, but he's really been coming through in such a way that lets us all know, hey, Natasha, it lets us all know that this season is a very different season, right? We've all been through that phase of hearing people say, the prophets, the apostles say, it's a new season. But when you look at the evidence of a season, it's literally like, God, everybody's saying that you're saying that this is a new season, but why does it still feel the same? Anybody ever felt that way? I know, like in my wilderness, I would hear that phrase and I would hear it so much because I was in that season for 3.5 years, right? And it got to the point where I was bitter, right? Like the beginning of the year, everybody's like, this is your year, this is your time. And then that year starts and I'm like, God, this was absolutely not my year. It was absolutely not my time, right? Expectations, right? And so as I was just kind of reflecting on that yesterday, because yesterday was one of those days where God answered so many prayers and so many like heart's desires. And it was one of those days where he moved in such a way that it's like, for once in a long time, I truly felt like, God, you hear me. Because if I can be real, that old season, the last season, I really felt unheard by God. Because it's like, God, I'm praying, I'm decreeing and declaring, I'm fasting, I'm worshiping, I'm doing all of these things. And nothing's changing. Hold on one second, y'all. That was literally like my mindset. I'm sure some of you guys felt that way, where it's like, Lord, the struggle is real. It's beyond real. I'm praying, but I'm still having to deal with this struggle. And so it's like, it was one of those seasons where I think many people felt like our prayers were just falling on deaf ears, like God wasn't there, like he had just, like the psalmist says, he had went out to lunch. It's like, God, where you at? And so yesterday was one of those days where I worked out that morning, went to Home Depot to get some gardening things because I'm going to plant some flowers that I actually want, right? And so I picked up like sunflowers. Blessings to you, Pastor Ron. I picked up so much stuff and it was just a heart's desire, right? And later on that day, the vet came. And one of the things that I had been asking God about, like, Lord, is the same vet tech gonna come? Because I need to see her again. I don't know what it was about this lady. I'm like, I want to see her again. She was so very kind, so very nice, so very sweet. She took great care of my dog. Did you not know that when they pulled up, hear me now, when they pulled up, she was there. And put a smile on my face, made my day. And she said, yeah, when I saw this, I stopped everything I was doing. She said, everybody was asking, you going on a house call? She was like, absolutely. And it worked out in such a way where some of the things I had been concerned about was, God, if I go out of town, who's going to keep my dogs? Little did I know that this woman is a pet sitter, an inexpensive pet sitter at that, right? A lot cheaper than boarding at the vet. And I'm like, God, she's someone that I would trust around my dogs. And everything that I was worrying about was not an issue. I was worried about Capone. Is he going to growl at these people? Are they going to have to muzzle him? Is he going to be mean? He wasn't mean at all. He treated them like he treated me. And as I was reflecting on it, even the vet bill, they were cutting corners so that I wouldn't have to pay out so much, right? It wasn't much cheaper, but it was a little bit cheaper than what it was supposed to be because of that. The things I'm worrying about. God, are my dogs healthy? Sweetie's nails, are they going to be able to trim them? Everything was done. And I had such great joy. And after that happened, I was spending time with God. And the Lord told me two things. The first thing he told me was, your car is next. Because that's something that I've been concerned about. But the second thing that he told me, he said, things are turning around for you. Can't you see? I'm going to say it again. He said, things are turning around for you. Can't you see? And in that moment, I understood that God was aware of how the last season felt for so many of us. It was rough. It was beyond rough. Things that you typically wouldn't struggle with, many people struggled in areas where they typically wouldn't struggle. Many people in that last season really got to a place where they literally felt like, God, it feels like I am at the end. Like I am literally on thin ice. Like if anything else happens, if I had to endure another thing, I am literally going to break. I was telling God, and I even told Visha yesterday, it was one of those seasons where I literally almost quit ministry. But the Lord said in this season, it produces such evidence that you won't even have to question whether or not God hears you. He said in this season, it produces such evidence, right? That you won't even have to wonder if you're going to have to struggle anymore. This season is different. And I don't know who needed to hear this, but things are turning around for you. And really in this season, what we're seeing God do is handle long-standing things that really, they are needs, but they're needs that really concern us, needs that really bother us. And he's moving in such a way to rectify those things. That is really what this week has been for me. It's been a week of me just seeing God rectify things, me seeing God handle things that really bother me. And I really think that honestly, what got me to this point was really being open and vulnerable with God, not just about the last season, but even things that have happened recently. Because as I released those things to God, there was a spiritual release. I'm going to say that again. As I released those emotions, there was a spiritual release that came that allowed for me to see what God was doing in this season. Because sometimes we can be so blinded by our emotions about certain situations, certain circumstances, certain seasons of life, that we truly do not see the new things that God is doing. You know, the scripture says he's doing a new thing. Do your eyes not perceive it? Have you ever wondered why sometimes we don't perceive the new thing that God is doing? Why sometimes we don't even realize that we're in a brand new season and that the brand new season produces something that is truly new, something that is different from the old season? And I think one of the reasons, not the entire reason, but one of the reasons why we don't perceive the new thing that he's doing is because we are so caught up in the emotion. We hold the emotions in concerning how we feel about previous seasons, how we feel about right now, certain situations. And so what God is saying on today is release it. Release it. Can I just get somebody to type those 2 words in? Release it. Release what, Apostle? Release how you really feel. And I'm not talking about releasing to people. You know, sometimes we have a habit of when we're going through things, when we're in a very emotional place, we want to call people. But what God is saying on this morning is, tell them to call me. Call me. Release it to me. Because when you really think about it, He's the only one that can really help us see what He's doing. He's the only one that can really release the joy, the peace that we need, and even the ability for us to feel that He loves us. Whew. He's the only one that can do that. And the thing about Him releasing, the ability for us to receive His love is that His perfect love is what casts out all fear. And when you don't have fear, you're put into a position where you can believe God. And whatever you believe, you can see. So when you start to believe what God says about your life, what He says about what He's going to do in your life, right? It's only a matter of time before you see it. Am I making sense? It's only a matter of time. And that's what this season has been like for me. And I'm going to be real. It took a while. It really took a while for me to get to the point where I was ready to release the emotions of how I felt about what I had been going through, what I had been having to endure. It took a minute because let's be real, some things are just too painful and you don't want to process it. You just really don't want to process it. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. And because I don't want to do those things, in essence, what we're saying is, God, I don't want to hear what you have to say about this. Because I'm scarred emotionally. I'm triggered. I'm traumatized. And honestly, that was what was missing for me. I held in the last season how I felt, the struggles I endured, the trials, the tribulations, even to the certain degree, having faith, believing God with all my might, and certain things still not going the way that I expected, the way that I wanted them to go. From the house situation to my dog, right? That is a such thing. And sometimes you can believe with all your might. And because it's not God's will for what you're expecting to happen, you experience like it's a deep hurt that happens. If you ain't never been there, you won't be able to relate. But many of us have been there where you've believed with all your heart that God is going to do something. And He don't do it. And those things hurt. It takes time. But when I got to a point where I was ready and able to verbalize how I felt, I had never been at the point where I wanted to say I'm done with ministry. It got so real. Since I've really accepted God's call on my life, I've never looked for jobs. But I did. I was that done. I didn't want to broadcast, and for a few days, He didn't make me. He knew I was done. Even down to my mom. Right? But you know, the beautiful thing about God is He waits for us. Whew. He waits for us. He waited until I got to the point. And the truth of the matter is that as long as I was holding on to those emotions and being unwilling to release them to God, I didn't have the capacity to receive the new thing. I didn't have the capacity to even see what He was doing. And I don't know who that is for. But let today be the day that you really give it to God. That you really open up about the things that traumatized you and that still traumatize you, the things that trigger you, the things that concern you. Tell God why they concern you. Be open. This is a relationship building 101. Be open about it. Be open about the things that are really bothering you right now. And watch Him shift your perspective. Watch Him give you understanding. Watch Him bring clarity. Watch Him bring you peace and joy. And when you have those things, it's only a matter of time before you start feeling and seeing heard, feeling and seeing God's love for you, and really just seeing how far God will go for you. things are turning around for you. This is that season where many of us are going to be able to look at this season and we're going to be able to say, thank you, God. This is where it shifted. This is where it changed. This is the moment where I stop struggling in these areas. This is the moment where I start seeing God come through for me. This is that moment. Can somebody just type that in? This is that moment. This is that season. It really is. And it only gets better. For many of us, yes, we still have to learn some things, but the truth of the matter is the worst of the worst is over. Yeah. For many people, as you probably shifted over into the new thing, you probably experienced some hits, some losses, right? People left, opportunities left, doors closed. And the truth of the matter is those things had to happen. Those lessons had to be learned. Those people had to go. Certain doors had to close so that you could have the capacity, right? And the receptiveness to receive the new thing that he's doing. And I'm going to tell you something about the new thing. It is good for us. It's good for us. I feel that. It's good for us. I wish you would just decree and declare that over your life. It's good for me. This new thing, even though I may have some fear. You know, I had fear about losing my dog. Can I flow? Can I flow? I had fear. I didn't think I would be able to bounce back if I lost her. But look at me. I was down but not out. I had fear about what it would look like. What will life be without her? Because I had certain expectations that she would be around for a while. I had certain expectations that she would be here for a while. And I didn't want to lose that. Right? But the moment I accepted God's will, what I've seen is that even though that hurt, the new thing is still good for me. It's still good. Somebody got to feel that. The new thing is still good. So to the person that needs to hear this, give God a chance to show you that the new thing is good for you. You know, the Bible tells us that what's coming is better than what's been. That the latter days shall be greater than the former days. So I'm going to ask you, he's doing a new thing. But have your eyes began to perceive it? Because this season is the season where it happens for many of us. And it may not happen as suddenly as we want it to happen. But if we could just be patient and be willing to trust God and work with him, what many of us will see in this season is that everything that we were concerned about, stressed out about, everything that we were having to endure, that these were things that God had plans to take care of all along. He just told me to get on here to tell you this morning that things are turning around for you. It's been a minute since I had a day like yesterday. But it was a day where I truly felt, I truly believed, because I was seeing the evidence, that things were turning around for me. Yeah. And that's the word this morning. This is that moment. This is your moment to receive what you've been asking God for. To receive it. And to the person that needs to hear this, let go of whatever fear you have. Whatever fear of the future that you have, we are not fortune tellers. Only God knows what the future holds. And we can trust that if it's in the future for us, it is his will for us to have. And if it is his will, then it is deemed good for us. It's for our good. And I'm so grateful. My heart has just been so grateful. I told God last night, this morning, that I'm just so grateful that he didn't let that last season define my future. That he didn't let the grief and the pain and the torment and the struggle of the last season, that he didn't let it be my ending. He didn't let it be my next destination. And I just want to decree and declare that the same is happening for some, is getting ready to happen for you. For you. For you. And I believe that it is because of moments like this that God has me being so transparent. Because if many of you guys didn't know my story and what I have dealt with, you wouldn't get the level and the brevity of this word. You wouldn't be able to relate to it. I'm human. I go through just like you. I struggle. I had to endure just like you. I deal with hurtful things just like you. I have moments where I'm disappointed, discouraged, frustrated, just like you. But if I can bounce back, if God can bring me back, so can you. So can he do you. If he can breathe new life into me, he can do that same thing to you. If he can give me beauty for my ashes, he can do that for you as well. If he can breathe hope into me, he can do that for you. If he can make me feel seen and heard, I know he can do it for you. And that's the word. So if you can receive it, can you just tell God thank you? Can you just tell him thank you? Can you just tell him thank you? And that's it. That is it. To those of you guys that feel led to sow, the seed title, I hear you, Lord. The seed title is, "This is my moment," or "This is my time." And that's you just decreeing and declaring over your life that this is simply, it's your time to be seen by God. It's your time to be heard by God. It's your time for your prayers to produce results. It's your time to be elevated. It's your time to be favored. It's your time to be chosen. It's your time to be prospered. It is your time to be blessed. It's your time. Whew. It's your time. And even if you can't sow, still decree and declare that over your life. It's your time, because it really is. Many of us have waited for God to say, hey, it's your time now. You're up. It's like even now he's showing me, you know how sometimes you can go to the DMV, the driver's license place, and they have this little system where they make you pull numbers. Y'all ever seen that system where they make you pull tickets? And so what happens is each ticket has a number. It's like an alphabet and a number. And they have a screen. And it's like literally they work the tickets in order. So as your number is called, what happens is it means that it's your time to be seen. It's your time to be serviced, right? Pray that I'm making sense. It's your time to be serviced, to get whatever it is that you need to get done. And literally in the spiritual realm, I just see people's numbers being called. I literally see people's numbers being called. And what happens is after you take your number, you sit down. You sit down and you wait, which has been where many of us have been. We've been sitting still and waiting for God to do something. Sitting still and waiting for God to answer the call. Sitting still and waiting for God to rectify. Sitting still and waiting for God to do it for us. Sitting still and waiting for God to bless it. Sitting still and waiting for God to handle it. And what God is saying is, it is your time. I see in the spiritual realm him choosing numbers. And literally it's bringing tears to my eyes. What I see is people getting up one by one. And God meeting needs, God rectifying situations, God breathing on them. Whatever it is that they need, they get the service. And what you see is they leave happily, as more happier than how they were when they came. Jesus. It's your time. Can I just get y'all to type that in on the screen? I'm trying to get off of here. Can I just get y'all to type that in on the screen? It's my time. That's literally what I see. If you don't want to decree it over your life, I'll decree it over mine. It's my time. I truly believe that. And I believe that it is your time as well. So that is it. Whew. Jesus. If you know you need to sow, the links are there. The seed title is It's Your Time. It's my time. And that's it. If you need prayer for anything, you guys can send prayer requests to the email that is in the description, prayer.thoughtsbyt@gmail.com. If you need to book a session, a one-on-one coaching session, the email is there until I get my site back to where it needs to be. But that is it, y'all. That is it. Right now, this morning, my goal is I wasn't able to get their heartworm preventative medication because I didn't have enough for that. And right now, I'm about $40 short of being able to get their heartworm preventative medication, which is something that they need. Bowles came with his shots, but Capone and Sweetie need a box of it, just one box for it. And so I'm $40 short. And so that is where the seeds that you guys sow are going to go towards. I actually need to be heading there now. But that is it, y'all. So that's where the money's going if you feel led to sow. And don't just sow towards the goal. Sow what God tells you to sow. If he tells you to sow 20, sow 20. If he tells you to sow 40, sow 40. If he tells you to sow 100, sow 100. If he tells you to sow 5, sow 5. If he tells you to sow 10, sow 10. If he tells you to sow a penny, sow a penny. But you let that be it. And so that is it, y'all. I love y'all. I'm rooting for you. So until next time, y'all. Peace. Release it so you can receive it.